Hi, it's George Mount from Seattle Shakespeare Company, here to welcome you to our production of Titus Andronicus. Titus Andronicus is probably one of the lesser-known Shakespeare plays. You may not be as familiar with it as some other folks. It's an early tragedy from Shakespeare set in kind of a fictionalized Roman Empire. And I would suppose that the aspect of this play that probably has what it's most known for has a reputation as being one of Shakespeare's bloodiest tragedies. And it's true. The amount of carnage, death, and mayhem that happens during the course of this play is unprecedented in most of his plays, and the end of the play looks more like a charnel house than, say, the resolution of a nice circle dance in a Shakespeare comedy. But Shakespeare at the time was tapping into a very popular genre of its day, of the Elizabethan and Jacobean periods, of the bloody revenge tragedies, from works of Thomas Kyd and the Spanish tragedy all the way through Webster and Ford and 'Tis Pity She's a Whore and the Duchess of Malfi. And it was, during his day, probably his most popular play. And it's tapping into something that maybe we don't necessarily expect from Shakespeare. We often think of Shakespeare as having this great capacity for understanding the beautiful side of human nature. And it's true, he does. So many of his plays have great moments of redemption and grace and forgiveness and love. But Shakespeare knew about all aspects of the human condition, including our capacity for horrendous deeds and going overboard with our desire for revenge, our desire for power, and the way that those things can be manifest. And this play certainly is his most thorough exploration of that. And you might think, well, in a world today especially, where it seems like violence is surrounding us and we're losing control of our ability to deal with it, I think that Shakespeare and the other playwrights of this period of the great bloody tragedies and the antecedents that exist in literary world since then, we're tapping into something that the arts have a power to control what is uncontrollable in the rest of the world. We as the artists and you as the audience get the shared safety net of knowing that what's happening on stage is an artifice, a construction, where we can confront and deal with these horrors on our own terms and in our own way, and still know that we have this capacity inside of us, and there are repercussions for those impulses and paths that we may travel. It's certainly something that has come up again and again throughout literary and artistic history. You can think of the great Gothic horror novels of Mary Shelley and Frankenstein, or the Grand Guignol tradition of theater, the movies of Sam Peckinpah and Quentin Tarantino, and even the recent Irish playwright with his gruesome black comedies, Martin McDonagh, and what he writes and how he's indulging into those aspects of gore and gruesomeness, but also with a touch of humor. And I think our director, David Quicksall, has drawn inspiration from all those areas, and getting that touch of humor and getting that touch of ghastliness as well. I hope you'll enjoy it. Maybe I'll get to see you out there. I'm going to be in the show. That's why the cute little mustache. Thank you very much, and enjoy the show.